Now, conventional development is a transaction-based model. I call it the 4 Bs. Borrow, buy, build, and bugger off, basically. That's the conventional model. And we take it for granted that that's what happens. And what's wrong with that is that the developer has no interest in doing a energy efficient or high quality development, because that costs him money. He's not going to be living there. He wants to minimize the costs. And it's a pretty toxic model, but we don't see any alternative. Now, this is an alternative. First, you transfer the land to a custodian. But the landowner isn't giving it away. He becomes an investor because he's invested the value of the land. Okay? We give the council something because, you know, at the end of the day, the community has said, okay, planning permission. So instead of giving, in the UK, we have a section 106, so 25% affordable housing. In this case, the value of the planning, the council becomes an investor and gets a return, and the thing is finished. We say to the contractors, show us your costs. And we say, well, if you want your costs and you can't afford to invest them, then we'll find equity investors. But your profit margin, you're going to have to invest it. So they have a stake in the outcome. So the profit margin of a developer of the contractor is invested. Risk takers are needed, punters, risk takers. So pension funds maybe wouldn't be interested in this, but there are lots of people out there who probably would be, and they're the ones who actually pay the costs that the contractors are not prepared or able to actually invest themselves. The developer doesn't borrow a penny, needn't invest a penny. What he has is the concept. He spends his time putting the whole thing together, and in return, he gets a piece of the outcome. When it's occupied and complete, the rental is split between the investors and the managers. And the management role might be relatively limited, actually. Depends on the nature of the development. The development investors have got a choice. They can sell off their equity shares or keep them for their pension, because it's just like units in a property unit trust. Okay? Everyone has a stake in the outcome. They're all on the same side. They have an interest in high quality, energy efficient housing because this lowers the cost of occupation over time, which makes the rental value higher and makes the equity shares more valuable. So we go from a transaction model to a service provider model where this is the radical thing, property is never sold again. Once it's in the hands of a custodian, it's not sold. Occupiers may change, and you'll need a service provider, estate agent, if you will, who brings an occupier together with some place he'd like to live. That requirement doesn't go away. You need people who want to invest being brought together with investment. So, you know, that's a role for an investment bank. You need appraisal of projects to see that they stack up. That's an investment banking role. But the banks aren't creating credit anymore. They're service providers. Now, a land partnership isn't an organisation. This is it took me about 6 months to realise this. It doesn't own anything. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't employ anyone. It doesn't contract with anyone. It's simply a framework within which all the stakeholders agree among themselves what it is they're going to do. And if they consent, they do it. And if they can't agree, they don't do it. And they have a mutual interest in developing land sustainably. So let's replace conventional secured debt with a new form of community equity. Equity, but not as we know it. Simply by unitizing pools of rentals and turn the risk pyramid the right way up. This is how it should look. Okay? Think of a national equity instead of a national debt. There'll still be a need for some national debt because that is the credit circulating through the economy. But you're replacing most of it. 70% of money in existence came about because banks created it as secured loans. That's what we replace. And we do it very simply by a debt equity swap. It's not rocket science. Thanks. That's it.